When I first decided to fund my own wedding, I felt the same rush that one gets at the beginning of a daunting marathon. It was exhilarating, but daunting in ways I hadn't fully grasped yet. Growing up, I'd been taught that weddings were a family affair, a celebration hosted and supported by the family that brought you up. It felt strange, even rebellious, to say, I'm doing this myself. Yet, deep down, I knew it was what I wanted. My journey wasn't about rejection or defiance, it was more about discovery. There's something uniquely liberating about walking into a challenge, knowing that every step forward, every hurdle overcome, and every ounce of energy spent would be mine. It was an intimate choice. One rooted not in the grandeur of a wedding but in the quieter knowledge that this event marked a bridge to the life I wanted to build with my partner. As I started setting aside the first few dollars from my paycheck, the sacrifices didn't feel that significant. I stopped buying coffee on my way to work, opted for library books instead of brand new paperbacks, and cut down on impulsive dinners out. At first, the changes were easy, even refreshing. But as the months wore on, the challenge grew heavier. There were moments when I questioned myself, why was I putting so much weight on this? Why not lean on my family's generosity or split the cost with my partner? Yet, each time doubt crept in, I felt the quiet pull of my conviction. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a step into adulthood, into independence, and into a partnership that would thrive on equal footing. There's a strange clarity that comes when you're exhausted, weighed down by your choices, but also uplifted by them. It was in these moments, while juggling the demands of daily life with a growing wedding fund, that I saw myself in a new light. The wedding was still months away, but the journey was shaping me in ways I hadn't anticipated. Each setback brought new resilience, each success a quiet pride. And through it all, I realized that I wasn't just building a wedding, I was building a life. One step at a time. As the months passed, my commitment to funding the wedding tested me in ways I hadn't anticipated. I'd initially imagined the experience as a series of financial challenges, sacrifices, and a bit of stress here and there. But what I hadn't prepared for was the emotional weight it carried. Funding a wedding by myself felt like I was holding up a mirror, forcing me to face both my strengths and insecurities head-on. There were moments when I'd catch myself feeling bitter. I'd watch friends celebrating engagements and weddings, hearing about their parents' generous contributions, while I was calculating every dollar to make sure we'd make it to our big day without debt. It was in these moments, staring at the spreadsheet I had meticulously kept, that I felt both small and stubbornly powerful. I knew I could ask for help, I knew there were people around me who would pitch in if I needed it. But asking for help felt like giving up a part of the autonomy I'd worked so hard to build. It wasn't just about the money, either. Funding my own wedding turned into an exercise in self-reliance, a test of my willingness to handle things on my terms, without outside pressure or influence. I found myself cherishing this self-imposed challenge. The more I poured into it, the more it felt like a testament to the life I was building, not just a wedding, but a foundation of independence, resilience, and dedication. My relationship with my partner went through its own evolution during this journey. At first, they were supportive, understanding, even excited. But as I became more absorbed in the process, focusing so intently on every small detail, it became a point of tension between us. They didn't understand why I had to shoulder everything alone when we could easily split the load. It led to quiet disagreements and long, tense conversations. My partner thought I was being too hard on myself, that I was letting my pride create unnecessary obstacles. In those moments, I felt torn between wanting to let them in and wanting to keep this journey as my own. But eventually, we found a balance. My partner learned to support me in the ways that mattered most, helping me manage the day-to-day stress without questioning my decisions. They gave me space when I needed it, offered a comforting presence, and celebrated each little victory with me. Their understanding gave me strength, reminding me that, while I might be funding this wedding on my own, we were both fully invested in what we were creating. The final few weeks leading up to the wedding felt like a crescendo, with each day carrying a mix of exhaustion, pride, and disbelief that I'd nearly made it. I remember staying up late one night, reviewing my finances one last time, feeling the weight of every choice, every sacrifice I had made. There were no frills. No excessive luxuries, it was a simple wedding. But every single detail felt like a part of me. On the wedding day, I stood at the venue early, watching as the finishing touches were being set up. The simplicity of the decorations, the modest elegance of the flowers, and the understated beauty of it all reflected the journey I had taken to get there. There were no grand gestures, no elaborate arrangements. Just an honest celebration of love and commitment. As friends and family gathered, I was overwhelmed with a sense of accomplishment, pride, and profound gratitude. Walking down the aisle, I felt more than just excitement. I felt a deep satisfaction that this wedding was a true reflection of who I was and the values I held dear. Every challenge, every doubt, every hard-earned dollar had led to that moment, where I stood ready to enter a new chapter with a sense of purpose and independence I had never felt before. Looking back now, funding my own wedding wasn't just about the event itself, it was a journey that reshaped my understanding of love, partnership, and resilience. It was a choice that taught me the value of perseverance and self-reliance. And it laid the foundation for a marriage built on mutual respect and shared commitment. The wedding day came and went, but the journey stayed with me. A lasting reminder of the strength and dedication I found within myself. And in the end, every sacrifice, every struggle, and every victory was worth it. In the months after the wedding, life settled into a new rhythm. One that felt both familiar and entirely new. There was a calmness that filled our small home. A kind of quiet joy in knowing that we had built the beginning of this life together. From the ground up. It was strange. But after everything I had gone through to fund the wedding, the challenges that lay ahead seemed more manageable. I had been through sleepless nights, financial worries, and all the self-doubt that came with shouldering a big responsibility. Now, as we started our married life, I carried a confidence I hadn't known before. The experience of funding our wedding had shifted something fundamental in me. I found myself approaching even the smallest challenges with a different mindset. It was as though that journey had left me with a kind of mental toolkit. A collection of resilience, patience, and the ability to adapt when unexpected expenses arose, or when we hit bumps in our plans. I reminded myself of everything I had learned. It wasn't that these things suddenly became easy, they certainly didn't, but there was a new clarity in how I handled them. I knew I could face these challenges without backing down, because I'd proven it to myself. Our relationship, too, had changed in ways that became clearer as we stepped into this new phase. Those long talks, the arguments, and the quiet compromises had built a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. It felt like we'd been through our own version of a trial by fire, one that left us stronger, more patient, and more aware of what mattered most. It wasn't just about finances or independence, it was about trust and a deep-rooted commitment to supporting each other, even when things got hard. As the years went by, I often looked back on that chapter with a mix of nostalgia and pride. There were moments when friends and family would ask about our wedding and the decision to fund it ourselves. And I'd smile, recalling all the little stories woven into that journey. What once felt like a heavy burden now felt like a badge of honor. A reminder of what we had overcome. I realized that while it had started as a journey to create a single day, it had become so much more. It had set the tone for our marriage, embedding in us a shared resilience that would carry us through many more milestones. In quiet moments, I would sometimes think about the younger version of myself, the one who had set out on this journey with a mix of fear and determination. I felt a deep gratitude for her courage, her willingness to take on something difficult simply because it felt right. Funding our own wedding was more than just a financial choice, it was a declaration. A decision to step into life on our own terms. And as I looked around at the life we had built together, I knew, without a doubt, that it had been worth every sacrifice. Now, each day felt like a new chapter in the story we had started. We weren't just a couple who had survived the trials of planning a wedding on our own, we were partners in every sense. There were many dreams we still wanted to achieve, many places we wanted to see, and countless moments we wanted to share. But we knew that whatever came our way, we could face it together, drawing on the strength and trust we had built from that first decision to walk this path as equals. In the end, funding my own wedding taught me a lesson I hadn't anticipated, that the most beautiful parts of life often grow from the challenges we choose to face. It reminded me that love is as much about the hard work as it is about the joy. That true partnership is built on both sacrifice and celebration. And as I continued to walk this path with my partner by my side, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for the life we had, but for the journey that had brought us here, and for the many adventures that still lay ahead.